We're on the road. Where transportation goes, community grows. Welcome to On the Road with the MTA. And welcome to another edition of On the Road with the MTA. I'm Jay Gibbons alongside with Stephanie Kay from the MTA. How's Stephanie over there?
I am great today, Jay, because we have an in-studio.
Well,
yeah.
It could be a store,
it's
too.
It's like a store.
Yeah.
You can buy what we're selling for sure. No, in-studio guest, which I love. I've known Miss Lopez for probably, it's not Jennifer, but it's Julie Lopez from the Crime Stoppers.
Yay!
And Julie, thank you for being here. How long have you and I known each other? Because you came in the radio station years ago.
I did, and that might have been about 9 years ago. I've been doing it for about 10.
Okay, because you got started because your father-in-law had been murdered.
I did. Yeah.
So sorry to say that. I know.
Yeah. I know it's really kind of crazy to think that how my life has changed. But I went from being a horticulturist and landscape designer to now running a Crime Stoppers program. But I feel very passionate about it.
Of course.
That makes it worthwhile.
I mean, you do a great job with that. We see you on television. It's Julie Lopez, Crime Stoppers. You'll see her on television with Mr. McGruff. I love him.
I bring McGruff the dog with me wherever
I go. He's so good. I wish it was TV so they could see her. But, I have to tell you, I am obsessed with crime shows anyway. I think the average American finds it intriguing. Do you ever, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work in law enforcement.
You did?
On the IT side of things, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I watch those crime shows, and they'll say you never would have been caught if it wasn't for a camera or if it wasn't for the binging of the cell phones. They could tell where he was
or
placed.
Or if it wasn't for a Crime Stoppers tip.
That's
there
right.
You go. There
That's
you
right.
go.
That's right.
So, okay, you've been doing it for 9 or 10 years now,
10,
you said?
Yep, 10 full years.
How often do you go on television to say, here's another case?
As often as I can. Unfortunately, we have a lot of unsolved cases, and I try to bring family members on with me when I can. But it's a lot of times it's difficult for those family members to do that.
Sure.
I give them a lot of credit for when they can come forward and tape those. But
it has to be so frustrating. First of all, you've lost a loved one. That's got to be just devastating, like yourself. It's just it was a shocker for you because he was only 69 years old and he was sleeping, and that's somebody shot him. That had to be just. I can't imagine this shock that you guys went through. And your son, how's your husband doing? His son.
It's hard for the whole family.
Yeah.
It's been almost 13 years now. So, you get kind of used to knowing that he's not around anymore, but Father's Day, holidays, his birthday, those are all really tough times. Those are tough times for anybody who's lost anyone to death at all.
But my mom just passed away. But you had no closure because you have no closure yet as who did this and why, and to have closure. So it has to be just so frustrating. I would love to have you catch the bad guy. So,
well, that's what makes it worthwhile for my job, actually, is that I understand what the families are going through.
Yes.
And to bring closure. And like you say, when you're working in law enforcement, they want closure for these cases.
Absolutely.
They want to solve these cases. That is their job.
Sure.
That's why they get into it. They want to solve them. And having a tip come in from Crime Stoppers anonymously, even if that's what it takes to get them in the right direction, they're happy for that so that they can solve that case. And then to bring answers for the family members is really, we've got probably about 200 unsolved homicides on our website.
Really?
So that's just cases that I've highlighted since in the last 10 years.
Oh my gosh. And how many would you say you actually solved or had tips for?
Well, there's been several that have been solved. So we take those down. But I don't have that exact number.
That's okay.
But the number that I do have that's really good is that we have awarded since 2014, we have awarded over $161,000 to tipsters.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, if somebody's listening right now, if they know something.
It does pay.
Yeah.
It does pay.
And it's totally anonymous, right?
It's totally anonymous. And the way that works is we have a call center in Canada, and the people would call 1-800-422-JAIL, and then it goes to our call center. It gets scrambled up. The number gets scrambled up before it goes there. There's no caller ID. The calls are not taped. They do not say if it's a male or female calling. They take the information from the tipster, and then they get it to us through the computer. If a person goes down to p3tips.com or on our website, crimestoppersoflint.com, or the P3 Tips app, which is a mobile app. It's a free app. You can upload photos, videos, documents, and audio, and all of that is anonymous because we don't track IP addresses.
Really?
So, yeah, a lot of people think, no way, not in this day and age is it anonymous, but we do everything we can to protect the tipster.
That's great.
And sometimes even the tipsters will not realize that they identified themselves. Like they might say, my next door neighbor at this address is doing this.
Oh, yes.
So we'll kind of clean it up and make sure it doesn't identify the tipster.
Oh, that's
we want to make
nice.
sure that they're safe.
Yes.
And so that that they contacted Crime Stoppers for a reason. 2 reasons probably. 1, to remain anonymous, and number 2, potentially for the cash.
Yeah, and to solve a crime. I mean, to help somebody get closure. If there was a murder done or something, heinous crime, you want to make sure that person gets put away and that family has closure. That's got to be rewarding for the tipsters too.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had, if they call back in and they're just happy to have helped.
Now, wait a minute. I know they're asking. I'm thinking that too. If it's anonymous, how do you get them their money? Yeah.
That's a good question. So what we do is the tipster, when they contact us, they are given a tip number.
Okay.
That's their ID number. Okay. So when they contact us again to see if the tip helped lead to an arrest, then they give us that tip number and we look in the computer what our notes are from the detective, if it helps solve it. And then we have a reward system, a whole like a tip chart with the points for each crime. And so unfortunately, the more violent the crime, the more serious the crime, then the more dollar amount the reward is.
Yes.
And so then we add up what the warrants were for, and then we assign a tip number, a reward amount. Mm-hmm. And then that tipster is given instructions on when and where to collect the money. And of course, I can't say where that is because it's anonymous, but it's a safe location and they're given an envelope of cash.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So, but nobody can see their face or what they're doing. They can pick it up without they still like.
Well, it's a safe location, and we're not looking to see who they are. We do not want to know who they are.
We just want to get the information to get somebody that way.
And then one other thing about the rewards is sometimes people wonder why some cases have a little bit larger of a reward attached to them.
Sure.
And on our posters, we always put a little asterisk next to the dollar amount if it's above our reward amount. And at the bottom it says why. Money outside of Crime Stoppers was donated to that case to increase the reward. So there are a lot of families that want to increase the reward, thinking that, the money will help. And in some cases, it has helped. And in other cases, it hasn't. Like my father-in-law's. We've added extra money over the years. So it's up to $10,000 from outside money, outside of Crime Stoppers. But obviously, it hasn't helped.
No.
So, but like I said, it has helped other cases.
Can you tell us where that was taking place? Because somebody might listen thinking, I know of that area. I mean, can you say
my father-in-law's?
Yes.
Yeah, he was killed on Kansas Avenue in his home.
And what day
on the
and time?
east side of Flint. It was July 9th, 2011. We don't know the exact time. So.
Okay. Well, there you go. If you've heard anything about that, if you live in that area.
Or go onto the website. There's so many other cases on there, too. You just never know what might ring a bell. Like you saw this car speeding down this road, or you heard something, somebody talked about it. Yeah, you just don't even know
Heard the dogs barking. I thought, what was that about? Yeah.
You just don't know. It's little pieces of information that law enforcement can take and send them in the right direction or solidify what they already might know. It's very interesting.
Well, the thing is, back then they didn't have the cameras and the Ring doorbells back in 2011 as much as they do now.
Right.
Yeah, because now your camera might pick something up. So if somebody lived in that area, they might think, I had a camera. I can look at that. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Do you have a Ring doorbell?
Do I personally?
Well, okay.
It's almost like a commercial for Ring doorbell.
No personal question. Sorry. I found it to be great because my mom has passed away, but I was at work one day and I saw my phone beeped and it was her coming to my front door. It's like, good. So I was able to call and say, Mom, I left some food for you in the refrigerator, so please take it before you go home. So it's been so helpful for me that I can have like a little security with that going on. But I just didn't know if I should not ask. Never mind.
It's okay.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, you're going to come over?
No, I'm sorry, but I'm not at liberty to say.
Well, I had a girlfriend, and I hope she doesn't mind me talking about this. She was a twin, and when she was 13, she was in the car with her mother when her mother's estranged boyfriend, it was a second husband, came up and shot her and killed her right in front of my friend. Yeah. So she had to run and get help. And so she had a twin sister. They went in different directions, of course. My friend, you would think that she might be disturbed by that, but she is the most dynamic and fun and just great person. And she and her husband were watching Crime Stoppers or one of the the murder mysteries. And he said, aren't you glad we don't have that kind of drama in our world? She goes, you mean again? And he's like, oh, I forgot about that. I'm so sorry. So he didn't realize she had to go through that, but she closed it off. She doesn't talk about it. Yeah. But you don't know what somebody's been through.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting that you say that is because there are, I work with the families a lot of these homicide victims, and there are some people who can somehow get and have to live their life. And I appreciate that because your loved one doesn't want you to stop living.
Right.
So, you still live with that grief, but you can deal with it differently. And hopefully these people can get the resources that they that they need. And we have helped connect these family members with like Hurley Trauma Center and other places. And actually, speaking of, we have the Community Safety Resource Fair again. We've had this, I used to call it the annual until COVID. Now, I don't remember how many years we've been doing it. So this might be our 6th or 7th year, something like that. So it's at Burston Fieldhouse on Saturday, May 11th. And that's the Community Safety Resource Fair. And we have nearly 30 agencies that come together that help people who have been affected by crime or any safety issue. They can come to this. It's a free event. We've got refreshments and we've got some fun entertainment. We've got the Smooth Steppers from Burston Fieldhouse that are going to perform.
Oh, yes.
And so those are great places for anyone who's been affected by crime to come and find out what they can do, because you're traumatized and sometimes you just don't even know what's available.
No, you don't. And you're so traumatized that you don't know where to look. You just, you're destitute. So that's really great to know. So it's May 11th. What time?
It's from 11 to 2.
Okay, at Burston Fieldhouse. Yeah. We had just done a big a ribbon cutting down there because B.B. Nolan was very instrumental in getting the Burston Fieldhouse to where it is today. And so there's a bus stop with his image on it.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes.
That's wonderful. He's actually the one I had talked to about having the resource fair there, because we had it at the Flint Farmers Market for 2 years. And then we're like, we really need to put this on the north end somewhere. And he's like, yes, immediately. He was like, yes,
great.
of course. And now Miss Valerie Horton is helping us.
Yep, she's in charge.
And her staff. And so we get to have our resource fair there.
Good for you. Cool. Other people are going to be there as well. There's going to be
almost 30 agencies.
Oh, my land.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing.
We have, it's grown every year, and it's fantastic. And that made me think of it is because talking about, these family members, I had one mother, her daughter was killed, and now she's raising the 2 grandchildren. And she said to me one time, she said, "You saved my life." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "You got me the information for Hurley Trauma Center, and I've been able to, talking through this, and that has really helped." And so there's so many resources out there that people don't understand.
They don't know.
With the Genesee Health System, they've got things.
Right.
And
we've had them on before.
Yes.
So if somebody may have had that happen, a tragedy in their life, and maybe there was somebody killed in their family, how do they get a hold of you to say, "I want to come on the TV and talk about this. I want you to help solve it"?
If their case has not been on Crime Stoppers, they can either contact their detective, and their detective will get us the information, or if they don't know who it is now, it's been years or whatever has happened. Sometimes family members change their phones, and the detectives can't even get a hold of them sometimes. So it's sometimes, so we really want to make sure we have the good communication between everybody. But if for some reason they can't get a hold of their detective, they can go on Facebook and just message us, or go info at crimestoppersofflint.com, and then tell us about the case. And then we would find out who the detective on the case was to see if we can put it out there. Okay. Everything that we put out there for cases has been approved by law enforcement.
Oh, wonderful. That's good to know too. Yeah. I know did you ever hear of Georgia Tan? Do you guys know who she was? It was a long time ago. She was a pretty bad woman. She had a orphanage, and what she would do is she would kidnap these kids that were blonde hair, blue eyes, whatever they're looking for, and she would sell them to, like, Joan Crawford had bought 2 of her children from her. Georgia Tan was this woman's name. She's since passed, but it was down south. And my boyfriend's mother was one of those children that were stolen. Georgia Tan went to the hospital and told her mom, "I know you're sick. We're going to take care of your daughter for your kids. And then as soon as you're better, we'll bring her back to you. We're just going to take care of you. We're a service here." She's like, "Oh, okay." So his older sister said that she was holding the little girl in a black car, pulled up and pulled her right out of their arms and took off with the little girl. And she didn't even know about this. She remembered all those things happening to her, but it was on America's Most Wanted. She was watching television with her husband, and she's like, "Oh my gosh." They said, "If anybody was ever in this house, please call this number." And she saw the staircase that she had gone up as a little girl. She said, "I was there. That's the house that I was in as a little girl before they told me to go up to this woman and say, 'Will you be my mommy?'" Wow. And so it works. TV works so much. It helps so much to see that visual and to see it out there. And there was a big splash about that. And the magazine, the Homes and Garden, about how she was caught and how his mom went through that. So she found her real family from that.
Wow.
That she never knew. Yeah. So that was, they made a movie about it. It was, I think, Mary Tyler Moore played her life story. But anyway, it was just helpful to see it on television because you see the families and you get the details and you might know something, hear something, have heard something that helps us solve it.
Yeah, you just never know.
No, it has to be so rewarding for you to have that phone call saying, "We got him."
We like when we have successful tips. We get pretty excited about that, yes.
I can imagine. The families, to see them just have that closure and see somebody.
Yeah, it's a mixed emotion.
Yeah, it never makes it go away. Wow. Yeah. How can we help you? How can we help you? Because I know you said there's an reward out there. The families might give you some money, but how do you get the initial money to offer a reward? Because you don't make any money doing this.
So we are a nonprofit organization, and we get funds. We've got wonderful corporate sponsors. So on our website, you can look at our sponsors.
Good.
We love to thank them. And then we write grants, and we get some grants mostly from the Ruth Mott Foundation, Community Foundation of Greater Flint, and some other grants. And Consumers Energy even.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
well, you have a fundraiser. We can do that.
Yes, and we're having our first fundraiser. So that's all the type of fundraising that we've done in the past. And then this year we're actually going to have our first big fundraiser, and it's going to be a whodunit, but it's going to be a who donut. It's who stole the donuts from it's a Chiefs meeting at Powers High School.
Oh, that's cute.
Yes, and so we've got a lineup of some really great persons of interest who might have stole those donuts.
Oh, funny.
And that's going to be on June 13th at Powers High School, but we'll have it all over social media because you're going to have to purchase tickets ahead of time.
And about how much are the tickets so we can plan on buying one?
$75 a ticket or two for $125.
And that gives you, is there food
There'll
along
be
with it?
food, and we'll have drink tickets, and
they can figure out who done it.
They've got to figure out who done it. Yes,
well,
we're
you
going
know.
to use all 4
Or
floors
who
of Powers.
donut.
Well, I was an actress.
There will
before I
be
got-
donuts there.
Oh, that's
so,
funny. That's
yes,
good. I was
yes.
an actress before I got into radio and before I came here. So we did a lot of murder mysteries, and those were fun. Those are very well attended.
Yeah, we decided not to do one just because we.
No, but this is kind of like a murder mystery.
Yeah,
We got to
this is
figure out who
fun.
done it type thing.
This is
So
a fun
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So
It's more
Huntington
wholesome.
is our title sponsor.
They're
And then,
great, aren't they?
We've got some wonderful sponsors lined up, but I want to definitely mention Huntington as our title sponsor. And then just because I mentioned the donuts, Blue Line Donuts.
Oh, I love them. They're coming on next week to talk about their stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I know. I
Yeah,
love
they're
that story.
a nonprofit as
Yes,
well.
yes.
So yeah, we're happy that they are. They're not like sponsoring because they're a nonprofit, but
Sure.
they are providing the donuts for these
That's
meetings that
helpful.
are
Nice.
stolen. So we got to find out who the culprits
They're
are.
coming in next week,
Yes.
you said?
Yes.
Samples, maybe?
I think we should have some samples. Yes,
Yeah.
tasty.
And they're beautiful too.
They are so pretty. I know
Yeah.
they're huge. Their sizes are just huge, very generous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Julie, thank you. I know how busy you are trying to find the bad guys, and you came in to
Thank
talk
you
with
for
us.
having me.
Yes.
Yes.
And I know you
yes.
have some wonderful things in store that I want to invite you back when that happens because I want to talk about the other things you have coming up. So
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Anytime. Thank you.
And take good care of McGruff.
Yes, take a bite out of crime.
I love
Take a bite
that.
out of crime.
Well, thank you for listening to this week's episode, and please listen every single week. And Julie, we invite you to listen as well because you learn something about the community, something helpful, something. It's just wonderful people out there too that we'd like to promote.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if they want to be on our podcast, how can they do that?
All they got to do is just send us an email at podcast@mtaflint.org.
And then you can be part of the fun too. And
Yep.
thank you for listening. Be safe out there and continue to make the community a better place to live.
You've been listening to On the Road with the MTA. For more information on our services and community outreach, visit us online anytime at www.mtaflint.org. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The MTA, your community, your connection, your way.